welcome to Max and Nicky 1000th Time Reactions.
This will be a new channel we're starting here, and this
where
is our
we
first
react
episode.
to songs that we've heard 1,000 times.
That's right.
And this will be the 1,000th time we've heard the song,
and
we'll
this
be
will be the
reacting
reaction for the 1,000th time.
Exactly, Max. That's Max, I'm Nicky. And we're twins.
That's right.
And now I know you're asking, how do you know if it's the 1,000th time that you're
Is
reacting?
it really the 1,000th time?
Well, it's going to be more or less that. We've heard these songs so many times that we've probably heard it more than 1,000 times.
Probably more than 1,000
But
times.
some maybe
times.
a little bit less than 1,000
Well,
times.
some maybe less than 1,000. And
But you know what? We think it's cool for you to see us react to hearing a song that we've heard so many times before, and more
see
often,
if the song holds up in our opinion. But I think also the fact that we've listened to it so much, I think allows us to delve deeper into the analysis
nuances of the song. And
Sure.
actually, we might be reacting to songs that we don't even like, but we've heard them so many times before.
Wait, is that true?
Maybe.
Well, I don't know about that, but we'll see for later episodes.
We'll see for later episodes. But for
episodes.
now, the first song we're going to do today is a very popular one, Hey Jude by the Beatles. We've heard this song thousands
many
of times, probably.
many times.
But for all intents and purposes, we'll call it our 1,000th
1,000th time. Listen here. And you are the first ones to be listening to our reaction.
And
for the first time of our listen, of the 1,000th time listen of Hey Jude by the Beatles.
And by the way, before we react, just want to let you guys know that we have another channel called just Max and Nicky, and we do a bunch of covers of oldies songs and jazz standards and a few originals if you want to check those out.
Comedy videos out there on there as well.
Because we are musicians and stand-up comedians. So,
anyway, that's neither here nor there.
So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right.
And away we go.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. Then you can start to make it better. Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her. The minute you let her under your skin, then you begin to make it better. And anytime you feel the pain, hey Jude, refrain. Don't carry the world upon your shoulder. For well you know that it's a fool who plays it cool by making his world a little colder. Hey Jude, don't let me down. You have found her, now go and get her. Remember to let her into your heart. Then you can start
Went in there.
to make it better. So let it out and let it in. Hey
really gets into it at the end there. I love the slow fade out, you know.
Right.
All right.
All right.
You know,
That is Hey
we've
Jude.
heard that song so many times, at least 1,000 times, and we still are discovering things. I've studied this song so heavily in the past, especially in the past 2 years, because we're actually recording an album of our own.
Sure, but we'll talk about that, later on.
Well, but no, what I'm saying is we're and I've studied this song in particular,
Right.
to get
to get inspiration from it.
inspiration, and
Production-wise, which we'll comment on in just a sec.
Well, I just wanna let you guys
say
know-
that is Hey Jude, written by Paul McCartney, who is singing lead on that.
right. But I do want to let you guys know that we are listening to the 2015 remastered version of the song.
That's right. We are listening to, and I believe,
And when they say remastered, by the way, they usually mean remixed.
Right.
Because remastering is, well, it's a whole other thing that's maybe for music nerds. But
well, in any event, though, still, we've listened to this 1,000 times now,
at least
and I gotta say, I
Still
love it
love
like
it.
the first time I listened to it.
it's so good. I mean, just even listening just now, really focusing on the end there, you really hear Paul really just get into
He just
it.
really goes balls out
He
on
wails.
it.
He's
He's
wailing on
wailing
his-
on it. I mean, I think it's just, he's just having fun, He's just having fun.
Sure.
And I think that's what's so cool about the song. It's poignant, but it's a thing that brings people together and they can have fun with it at the same time.
This one time we were on a bus with a lot of people, and it was a long trip. We were in another country, and there was a guitar on the bus, and Max started playing the guitar, and we both led the group in a sing-along of Hey Jude, and it was a song that everybody knew the lyrics to. Everybody knew how to sing along to it. There were people from different parts of the country, from other countries on the bus.
That's right.
But this song brought us all together, and that's the power of not only music but the power of the Beatles.
That's right. But I also just want to take note on the fact that when everything enters, when each little part enters, it enters organically.
Right.
It doesn't feel jarring or, just forced. Sometimes you might want that in a song, but everything just kind of easily enters and just it feels organic and
But
it feels
it's not just
feels
that.
natural, it
Not
feels
just that,
right.
you can hear each instrument very clearly when it enters, and that's something that may not have been the case on the original version in the 60s that came out, because you can even hear the bass very clearly. And often in 60s recordings, bass usually gets a little...
Well, it's just not
obscured.
as present. It
It
gets
gets
obscured.
obscured.
And you don't hear it quite as well. But I think part of that was also systems weren't as sensitive to be able to pick up on the bass as well. So I think that's anyway. We're just getting into shop
the
talk here a
drums,
bit.
even the drums sound so good. It was really interesting, actually, hearing each instrument come in and where it was placed on the spectrum of what the listener is hearing. Because there's something called panning, and when you hear the vocals in the middle. When you're listening with headphones, you hear the vocals in the middle,
The lead vocals.
and you hear the piano on the right. The piano actually, it almost has its own space for most of the song, actually.
Right.
Because a lot of the other instruments are over here on our left, in our left ear.
Well, yeah. Well, towards the end, as we took note of that, the horns enter on both sides, which is cool.
But I actually don't think that was the case originally. I think on the original version of the song, the horns are only on one side. I think in this remastered version, they made it on both sides.
I love when the harmonies enter, the backup vocals. It just enters so organically, and it's almost like Paul is talking about Jude and almost kind of there's a kind of maybe an isolation Jude is feeling, or a loneliness or something like that, having to carry this weight upon his shoulders in a way. And it's almost like when the vocals enters, the backup harmonies, it's like saying, hey, you're not alone. You know, you're
right.
We're there for you, kind of, or something like that.
On a more technical level, the harmonies are right in the middle along with the lead vocals, which is very interesting, you know, but you can hear all of them very clearly.
But it goes with the idea of what I was saying. It's almost like this singular voice singing lead. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, he's being accompanied by the vocals, you know. It kind of parallels that idea, sure. I suppose. You know?
Some of those drum fills are really cool too. You can really hear the toms really well.
Oh, I love at the very end as it's fading out, you hear kind of Ringo get into it. He would rarely kind of go off into.
Sure, obviously one of the rare exceptions was on the song "The End" on Abbey Road.
Sure, but he would rarely take these grand. Impromptu things.
But he was always...
He kind of did that at the end here, because I think they're all having fun, and he does this kind of, this really fast thing at the end.
But his rhythms on a lot of songs were very innovative, actually, and I think they were pretty influential on,
he had really good
drummers that would come along after him.
He knew how to make fills really good, you know. His
sure,
fills
but
are great.
he also had a good feel, you know.
He had a good feel and had good fills.
Sure. I just think that everything sounds so clear in the mix. I think that's inspiring for somebody like me and like Max, who, you know, sometimes when we're mixing our own songs, we're like, what do we can't, things are getting muddied up, you know, I can't hear every instrument, and I'll listen to something like Hey Jude for inspiration and be like, well, this is how they're doing it.
Right.
Maybe this is how I should do it. Or
sure,
maybe
sure,
this can be an example of how I should be mixing,
Sure,
you know?
Sure. And I wanted to take note of, Nicky was mentioning that he thought it was the horns coming in, but it was actually, I think they were the basses,
initially,
the contrabasses coming in.
A contrabass, yeah.
But on the left, it was kind of...
Contrabass is not an electric bass, but it's an upright bass,
bowed instrument, you know... you would see it in an orchestra or something like that.
But then you really hear the horns come in.
And you really hear the horns
But there's actually a moment where you hear the horns come in briefly in the middle of... before the last part of the song, you know, the sing-along part. In the middle of the song, you hear the horns briefly come in, and I never really realized that until just now.
No, I don't think that was a horn, actually. I wanted to take note of it, but I wanted to let the song go. I think it was... What it sounded like to me was actually a kind of I think it was an electric guitar that was, had like some sort of tremolo thing going on. Or it might have been a Mellotron or something like that. I think. I mean, we could take a listen back if you want, or we don't have to.
No, we don't have to listen.
But it was also kind of interesting. At one point, you kind of heard, I think there was a little bit of talking that John Lennon said, and they just decided to leave it in.
Sure.
No, you know what I'm talking about? There was a little moment there that I think...
Sometimes they do that. You know, there's a Beach Boys song. I think it's...
Well, they did it a lot
of... God Only Knows. You can... Or maybe it's not... I think it's Sloop John B. You can hear... some talking where they kind of mess up and they do that. It's okay.
They did that a lot on Sgt. Pepper's. Almost like, hey, that's just part of it, you know.
Sure.
This is all part of it.
That's just part of it.
It's sort of part of it. I just wanted to add some talking. I just wanted to add some bells and whistles. You know, this is great. You know,
sure, yeah,
great.
Anyway, that's it for today's reaction video. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, I think we're gonna do.
Well, no, but you know, hey. We're going to be putting out 3 of these a day.
So then that's it for the first one of today.
Sure.
And our very first reaction video.
Sure. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can hear more or watch us react to future videos. Thank you.
See you guys soon.
See you guys soon. Bye.